again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Hello, welcome to the Think Tank. So we are on day 2 afternoon of the James Crumbley trial. So he is being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. His son, Ethan, was the Oxford tutor. And now we're seeing what the parents get to deal with because they were the ones that purchased the weapon. And there might be, we'll have to see how this particular trial goes, but we will have to see if he gets the same penalty as his wife Jennifer did. She was guilty on all 4 counts. So we have a totally different trial here. We're getting different people. We're getting different evidence put in. This time, I would have to say the defense has got themselves a good lawyer. Ethan does. They seem pretty friendly with each other. Let's put it that way. And she just seems to be a little bit more on top of things. She actually knows how to use a laptop. So that's it. I'm going to bring this up because they should be popping in any minute. We're just awaiting. I've refreshed this. There we are. Hello, Dandy. Good to see you. Nicole, Mexi. So what do you guys think about this? Is he going to get the same kind of penalty as his wife? I just think it'd be very interesting if this particular lawyer gets him off where he's not facing any time. Meanwhile, Jennifer is sitting in the hoosegow. I'm pretty interested because, like I said, this lawyer is a lot more on top of things. So, of course, courtroom is a little bit late to get going, which seems to be the thing. How you doing, Melissa? Raking. You're a busy girl, raking while listening. Busy gal you are. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Absolutely, Dandy. I agree. Friend. What a mess. Have to stay busy. Yeah. Do you have nice weather? You wouldn't believe the snow we have. Like, it's insane. You get bored easily. Yeah. I'm pretty much the same through most of my life. I was bored in the 50s. I don't know what that is in Celsius. I'll have to see if I can find myself something that'll keep doing these translations for me. I'm not sure where that would be. Yeah, we literally have like almost a foot of snow right now. 55 there. We are at 0, which is actually fairly warm because we've been hanging around the minus mid-20s lately. Oh, it is warm. Okay. Yeah, we're at 0. Hey, Tracy, good to see you. This case you're going to find, Tracy, this particular trial is so different than the mother Jennifer's trial. It's pretty interesting. Tomorrow rain, chance of snow, but 50s. Yeah, the weather's been bizarre. It really has. For us to have snow in March like this? Well, I wouldn't say it's unusual. Up until we've even had snow here. It's bizarre in like June. It's what? Oh, 13 Celsius. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not good at that translation. So we've been keeping our eyes peeled for information on Maddie Soto's case. She has been cremated. So hopefully they got everything that they needed before that happened. That's a good question. This one is supposed to be something opposite to hers. Is he going to go against his wife, or can he? Protected by marriage? Well, Tracy, she was kind of throwing shite at him, wasn't she? She was throwing the stuff at him pretty good. Oh, that was my husband. No, I didn't know they were going to get that day. And just, yeah, that was my husband. This was my husband. It's like, okay. No, they still have not found Elijah. Just wow. I really hope they find this little guy. What is going on with all these evil frickin' mothers? I mean, yes, the dads as well. But I mean, it's been so many mothers that are involved. It's like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, if you're normal, everything in you will protect your children. Everything in you protect your children. And these monsters that have been created, no, not anything like that. Oh, Ellie, I love it, Melissa. Ellie. Yeah, all these women, it just blows me away. I mean, Elijah's mom is in the Who's Scout. Madeline Soto's mom, I believe, will be in the Who's Scout fairly soon. We've got Kayla Montgomery that just got out of the Who's Scout, no charges, because she basically got on the stand and pointed her fingers to oh good Lord, the dad, Andrew. Guys, it's not, why is that name not there for me? Jesus Lord Murphy. Hey Maxie, did you see the message I sent you in Discord? Because I found one of those tensor bandages. I don't know if I put it on right. I thought maybe I'd get doctor, give me some news. Ellie, more manly sounds. Yeah, Adam Montgomery. Yeah, that's the mofo. And Kayla, it's like, what? Unreal. Chronic neglect of a child. Misdemeanor charge of neglecting a child. Oh my God. We still haven't found Monkey, Michael Vaughn. We still haven't found Summer Wells. We still haven't found Harmony. Oh, how come her name's not coming to me? We got Orrin and Orson West. No idea. Oh, I hope you're feeling better. I didn't know you were going in to the hospital. Chronic neglect. Yeah, Madalena Kojikari. You bet. Yeah. Yeah, you okay, Trace? Yeah, reports are saying exactly that, Tracy. He everything was on his phone, and they're saying there's another phone that's worse. Lena, yep, Lena Kill. Madeline Soto. Grandmother of missing Elijah Vu begs court not to let her daughter out of jail. Wow. Yeah, just heartbreaking. Yeah, Orrin and Orson West. Yeah. Yeah, Madeline. Madeline. They call her Maddie. So Madeline. I'm not sure how they would pronounce it, but yeah, Maddie. So Mexi, I put this tensor on like super, super tight. Is that okay? Because I don't know that. I don't know. It's old. It's an old tensor. I'm going to try and find that leg one that you showed me. Yeah, all of these Okay. Hey, Shauna. Nope. Circulation's fine. The only place I can feel it is on that owie I've got. Yeah, exactly, Tracy. So many kids. Yes, Mexi. And what is the parents doing? Where have the days gone? And that you have kids to love, protect, care, no matter who or what they come first. Amen, friend. Amen. Hey, mama. I love it. Love it. This courtroom was like this yesterday as well, pretty much late. Hello, Chopper. Good to see you. Are we going to have to send a search party after Tony again, guys? Yeah, mama. Chop, chop. So what do you think about this lawyer with this defense? What do you think of her? Yep, I agree, Chopper. If you don't want the responsibility, then don't have kids or put them up for adoption. Yep, boom. Yeah. So what do you guys think of this lawyer? You like this defense? Yeah, she's better than Jennifer's, that's for sure. Yeah, she seems to be doing a decent job. I'll mute out as soon as they turn on so you guys can hear better. Those rusty chains. Chopper. I always love your opinions, friend. Yeah, it's true, Tracy. Yep. Oh, go help him fix his tie. Or did I miss that? Did she already do it? No. Look at this. guys. They're pretty friendly. I mean, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying they've decided they like each other on some level. Yeah, get them all pretty. Chopper. Yeah, it wouldn't be good to have a bun there. All sorts of stuff would happen. Look at that. Yeah, they like each other to a point. I don't know how far that point goes. I'm not going to speculate, but it's interesting to watch because it's different. That's all. Good Lord. Yeah. You know what? I love you to the moon and back, but right now stay out of my space, but would never hurt them. Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to go mute.
Your Honor, calling People versus James Crumbley, case number 22279-989-FH.
Thank you, Mark. Case on behalf of people.
Karen McDonald on behalf of people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mario Lehman on behalf of James Crumbley, who is standing to my left.
Yes, sir.
Who's the next witness? Yeah, between me. Okay.
Detective Joe Bryan.
There's a button on the over here. Well, that's the light.
All right, for the jury.
You may be seated. That's what this cross.
Detective Sergeant Joe Bryan, Judge.
Did you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth to help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, please step up and have a seat. And could you state your name for the record and spell your first and last name, please?
Joe Bryan, Joebrian.
Go ahead.
Sir, where do you work?
The Oakland County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you worked with the Sheriff's Office?
29 years.
Okay. So tell me, sir, what do you currently do there?
I'm assigned to the Special Investigations Unit as a detective sergeant.
And what does the Special Investigation Unit in the Sheriff's Office do?
We handle major crimes, internal affairs, officer-involved shootings, anything major, we usually have our hands into it.
Okay. And that's run by Lieutenant Timothy Willis at the
Yes.
officer here? Okay.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been assigned to the Special Investigative Unit?
Since 2011.
And prior to that, where did you work?
I was the detective sergeant in charge of our computer crimes unit for almost 8 years. Prior to that, worked the jail, the road, general investigations on the road.
Okay. So all told, you said 29 years of law enforcement experience?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'd like to direct your attention to November the 30th, 2021. Do you recall that day?
I do.
Were you working that day?
I was.
Were you made aware of the shooting at Oxford High School?
I was.
Do you recall how you were made aware of that?
My supervisor, Lieutenant Willis, called me on the phone.
And did you respond to the school?
Eventually, I was heading that way, then I got diverted.
And tell me what happened.
Lieutenant Willis called me and asked if I would go to the Oxford substation to attempt some interviews.
Okay. And we say attempt some interviews of who?
The shooter, the responsible.
Okay, so the shooter was arrested at the Oxford High School on November the 30th and taken to where?
The Oxford substation.
Okay, so we say substation, so the sheriff's office being a rather large organization, there's different police stations of the sheriff's office within Oakland County?
Correct. Every township that contracts with us, we have a substation, like a mini police station at each a contracted area, each township.
Okay, and when you say Oxford substation, that's what we're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you were made aware that the shooter was transported to that location?
Correct.
And you were sent there to do what?
Attempt to interview him.
Okay. And did you speak with the shooter?
I did.
Okay. Did you learn his parents' identities?
I did.
Okay. And what did you do with that information?
I called his dad,
Okay.
then asked him to respond to the substation to talk to them.
Is his dad in court today?
Yes.
Can you point to him, describe something he's wearing today?
And he's sitting at the defense table and he has the headphones with a little white muff on them.
You got a record reflected identification?
The record will reflect the in-court identification of the defendant.
Okay, so we had testimony from Edward Wogrowski regarding location data earlier today and yesterday that showed that James Crumbley arrived at the substation about 1:58 p.m. on November the 30th. Is that consistent with your memory?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now tell us please what happened after, what did James Crumbley arrive? Did Jennifer Crumbley arrive as well?
Yes, they both arrived together.
Okay, and tell us what happened after they arrived.
My partner and I, Rob Miller, took him into an interview room to let him know what was going on.
Okay. And in the Oxford substation, when you took them to an interview room, is this room equipped with audio and visual recording?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and was that equipment operational on November the 30th?
It was.
Okay, and was that conversation between yourself, the defendant, and his wife, is that captured on audio and visual recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've seen that recording before?
I have.
And that fairly depicts that conversation?
It does.
So this is Exhibit 301. I believe we do not have an objection to this, but is that correct?
Correct, no objection, Your Honor.
301 is admitted, yes.
May I approach the jury, Judge? Sure. So as we wait for the,
Let me know if we get the sound adjusted.
thank you, Judge. Before I press play, the top right corner of the screen here reflects 14:58. The time is actually 13:58. Would that be correct?
That's correct.
And is that because of daylight savings?
I'm assuming.
Okay. So the actual time this begins is 1:58 p.m. on November the 30th.
That's correct.
So before you start, just identify everybody who you see here.
I got my back with the bald head and the blue shirt. To my left is my partner, now retired Sergeant Rob Miller. One standing is James Crumbley, and the woman is Jennifer Crumbley, his wife.
Okay.
We have Ethan with us. Obviously, we don't know all what happened there. There is a lot going on. It's our understanding he wasn't involved in a school shooting. He was the one who did everything. He said he acted alone. That's all basically the only thing we've asked him so far, because there's worried about other students, other people that don't know this. I'll get some questions for you, or ask you some questions first before you can start talking to him. I hate to stop you. Is it possible for me to have a word? I'm out this place. Yes, I'll get super dry. You know, it's hurt you. Heather needs to be probably. Yeah, we do not know. There are several people who've been shot. This is my partner attack. We'll get into it with you a little bit. But we really need to talk to him. Of course, we can do that. You We'll talk about that.
You've never done anything bad.
Jennifer, what is your date of birth? Last name is also Crumbley. And James, what is your date of birth? Thank you.
Just gonna pause it for a second, just for where it was redacted because personal information was being discussed.
That's correct.
Okay, personal identifying information. I should say.
Yes, sir.
Coming in for, there's been an issue this recently. This morning. What went down this morning? Oh, he was writing, yes, sir, look at the picture. He was doodling on a test. For a practice test.
Do you think you should probably have a lawyer?
That's up to you.
I think we probably should have a lawyer.
I think we can speak
I know.
to the cops. And
It just,
we'll
Call it
these. And here's our perspective right now. The thing is still very, very fresh.
right?
Right, people are still on their way to the hospital and such. We need to know what his state of mind is. Is there explosive devices anywhere? Is there other guns anywhere? Did he hide guns and ammunition, explosive devices? Are there any other victims? We need to know these things quite rapidly. I was in town. I saw all you guys go to Ontario. And I see I started concerned. I headed to the high school, obviously didn't get to the high school, turned into the Meyer parking lot, and I saw these kids standing outside. I'm trying to call my son, make sure he's okay, and
He texted me that he loved me.
he has to do that. And I said that there was an active shooter.
35 minutes before he called me, but I was
Freaked out
I was
because
down
of
to the school.
the situation.
He was drawing that on the paper, and the cops were called down.
So you can't make a picture.
I don't know.
What did the text say?
I don't know, maybe. No, it was acted to me
Oh.
from the counselor. In fact, Ethan, at 12:21, you okay? He said, yeah, just got back from lunch. I said, you know, you can talk to us, we won't judge. He goes, I know, thank you, I'm sorry for that, I love you. I said, I love you too. And then, you okay? I hear that. And then, he told me about what's going on, and I freaked out when I drove here from work. And then, that's where we're at.
What kind of big text, Jim?
That was at 12:21, and he's just getting back from lunch.
So you had 10 meeting with the counselors this morning?
Yeah.
I said, real quick, answer this. What, was it the first hour, second one, what time was it?
I got to school at 10:30,
So it would have been earlier, first or second hour, I don't know. And what did he say? I mean, he said he was sorry, he just said, you know, Is he having issues, like being picked on?
No.
Or?
No.
Not that we know of. His best friend, his parents just sent him somewhere to Wisconsin for an OCD rehabilitation. That was his only friend that he had. They hung out all the time, hung out at school. Our dog, our Great Pyrenees, just passed away a couple months ago. My mom died back in April. So that's. So yeah, what stressors going on?
They didn't.
And of course, that's true. I appreciate, you guys go over this with them, like, more than that, with the unfoldables. They may ask them, what
No,
The counselor said, there's no.
I honestly didn't even think about that, but.
I mean, it's Ethan's he's a perfect kid, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't get in trouble in school, he doesn't,
Is that how?
As you're gonna. We'll get him to 6 later, and then. What was it gonna have? It was hidden in in the case, and the bullets were hidden in a completely different spot. Underneath some jeans. I raced home. And after you saw the cops. After I saw the cops, after I found I was an active shooter, after what went on this morning, I immediately raced home and found the gun in his hand. That's when I called you guys. I called you guys right away and let you know. Okay. How far away is your guys' house from the high school?
Big right.
You live on the street. I don't know that.
So, he walks to and from school. It's really right in the village.
So what we'd like to do, is talk to your son. And obviously you mentioned over our lawyer. He is totally entitled to one. That's gonna be all up to you guys, because it's his age. We would like.
I'm not with Andy right now.
Okay. Can you take me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can Andy handle?
Andy can sit me from something.
We would like a lawyer present for the English from here on out. Okay. And it's no disrespect to you guys, it's just, I don't know on this one, I only see this stuff on TV at school.
All I know is they're talking to the counselor about that, he talked to me, and we went down there, and that's all it was about. And he didn't seem worried about it, and he said he was more welcome to stay at school, or he could go home, and I really wish we
Would have taken
go home.
help here. For the time being, then he's been arrested, he's maybe go to, either jail or children's village for a short time. So we're going to talk to him. So, that's for any medical conditions, any mental conditions we need to be aware of.
Especially because I had before it's happened, maybe there's something he's going
Does he have any meds or anything like that that you have at home that you might need to bring through? No meds, no, is there no treatment for mental health, anything like that? Give me 1 second, we have to time it for him, there's a lot of stuff we have to ask him. As far as just like waiting on that kind of stuff, they want to let one of you guys go with us. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna drop. Alright, so give me 1 minute to go to the form. There. Oh yeah, I'm sure so, the same. With law or anything?
Nothing.
Everybody's suspended?
Nothing.
He's not even these grades. I mean, mediocre grades. I mean, they're up and down, you know. But
Exactly. That's why I'm taking E and geometry last night, I got
it's not no, a grade. We were talking to him about his grade.
I got last night.
I'm sorry, his what?
It's great.
Grades. Okay.
It's down in geometry. And I got to him. And I was like on this.
Actually, he's going to be safe. Okay. He's not hurt at all. I think he's going to get worse for his but at this point right now, it's all pretty fresh. You know, say that many people are hurt, anybody's died, you don't know. At this point. Given children, family members, we should check in, and family members that you might be concerned about, was he angry at any family members that you want to hurt? Well, I mean, she's not being humble. He was just fine. He apologized about last night. We talked about his grades. Told him, like, listen, we just want you to drop. Make sure you have, uncompleted assignments. That's all we want to do. Is that right? On social media, not Facebook, Instagram. Yes, I'll They were empty, the gun was empty, and bullets were in a completely different place. How many rounds did you have? I don't remember. No. You guys bought 100 when you went to the shooting? We bought 200. I thought it was just a possibility. No, you didn't. It wasn't an exorbitant amount of money, because you would have. $56. Okay, then he only bought 100 rounds, and so you guys spent 50. So yeah, we go to the shooting range all the time. He goes with you. So he does, yes. I'm trying to teach him safety. Yeah, I mean, it. How do they get together? Sure. Still not gonna really make anything on it. He's a juvenile, they won't do that. I mean, they will not. He's a juvenile, they won't release his name. I don't know where it is, but James Robert is.
all the murder cases tomorrow right now. I don't.
Jennifer Lynn.
I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm going to refresh it. Make sure it's them, not me.
And just following up on that video, just for purposes of the record.
No. Looks like it's them. I can't believe she's sitting there texting. It blows me away. You'd think that that would kind of be a no-no. Wouldn't you want to be paying attention fully to what the cops say? I'm going to check something over here, guys. Just make sure that... Just make sure it's them. Isn't this interesting? Yeah, they're froze up everywhere. By the looks of things. Let's check over here. Yeah, frozen. Yeah, what's going on with them? Right, Dandy? Probably texting her boyfriend. I just can't believe it. I mean, you would think they would be bawling their eyes out, freaking out, paying attention. We saw what she is capable of when she was on the stand. Totally blew me away with her testimony. They both deserve a very long stretch in prison. Yeah, she's definitely the boss. Not making zero excuses for him, but he just seems like a love-struck puppy waiting for the next treat. Wow. Yeah, I checked everybody else as well, and nobody's got that stream. Pretty interesting how different this is from Jennifer's. It really does surprise me what different stuff is coming out. Just gonna look around a little bit here, guys. Volusia Sheriff. 23 counts of possession of CP, 4 counts of possession of P involving animals. What the mother truck? Look at this POS, guys. Lewis E. Herring, 55, born January 8th, 1969. 4 counts of possession of P involving animals. What? Well, we know what happened to the monkeys out there, don't we? I say Lewis Dill did it. He messed up those monkeys that are running around Florida. I bet you. Yeah. Animals.
Be open from what you could tell from that point forward during that interview.
Correct.
He said, he told you that
I'm just going to refresh it.
that he tried to get to the high school,
Correct.
that he couldn't get there,
Correct.
that he went to the Meyer and saw all the students,
Yes.
and that he was trying to get a hold of his son.
Yes.
And he specifically said he was trying to get a hold of his son to see if his son was okay.
Correct.
He then at some point told his wife about what happened at the school, the shooting that happened at the school.
Yes.
At about 5 minutes and 18 seconds of the interview, James was very clear that they didn't have issues with their son.
Yes.
That he didn't believe that they had been having issues with their son. Is that fair to say?
That's what he said, yes, ma'am.
He talked about the fact that his friend had been sent away.
Yes.
And let me clarify. James talked about the fact that his son's friend had been sent away.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Okay. And that their dog died.
Yes.
James's mother passed away that April.
Yes.
At 6 minutes and 24 seconds, you were looking at the math homework on Jennifer Crumbley's phone, and I believe it was you that said, did anyone ask him about this?
I believe the specifically the bullet holes.
Correct.
That's what you're referring to.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
And I was going to say that. And I was going to say
Oh.
specifically the bullet holes, or what appear to be bullet holes on the figure that's drawn on the math homework.
Yes, ma'am.
And Jennifer responded, no.
Right.
And then she kind of talked about the counselor, and there was a brief discussion about the counselor, and you wouldn't know what happened with the counselor, correct?
I do not.
Okay. At 6 minutes and 35 seconds, there was a statement that their son was a perfect kid.
Yes.
In their eyes, he was a perfect kid.
That's what they said.
At 6 minutes and 45 seconds, James told you that he had a 6-hour handgun.
Yes.
That was at 6 minutes and 50 seconds, he said that it was hidden in an armoire in a case.
Correct.
At 6 minutes and 58 seconds, and these are approximate timestamps, I'm not holding you to them,
I
Detective.
really appreciate it.
6 minutes and 58 seconds that the bullets were hidden in a different spot under jeans, he says.
Yes, ma'am.
It was shortly after that discussion that James indicated that they would like a lawyer present, and it was understood that it was for their son.
That's what my interpretation of what he said was. Yes.
And we see that in the video. You in fact advised his son later in the video that that James and his wife want to hire an attorney retain an attorney for their son.
Yes.
Okay. And James continued to talk to you.
He did.
Jennifer explained that at the school advised that their son could stay at school or go home, but that they both indicated they wish they would have taken him home that day. If you recall.
I don't recall. I remember her saying it. I don't remember. There was over talking.
And we saw that there was over talking a couple of times. James told you that he didn't have any trouble with his son, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you or your partner asked that. Have you ever had any trouble with him? Has he ever gotten in trouble? And James said no. He had mediocre grades, right?
Yes.
They were up and down. James or his wife indicated that they found out the night before that he had an E in geometry.
Yes.
And there was an argument about it that night.
Yes.
They'd gotten on about his grades.
Yes.
At about 11 minutes and 17 seconds, and you weren't in the room, but you did see the video, your former partner, now retired partner, indicated that, reassured James that his son was going to be okay.
Yes.
That he was going to be safe.
Correct.
Obviously, you can see from that conversation that James was concerned about his son.
Yes, he was.
And the safety of his son and the well-being of his son.
Correct.
Your now retired partner also said that it was going to get worse before it got better.
Yes.
Meaning the situation that they were discussing on November 30th at approximately 2:58 p.m.
Correct.
1:58 p.m. Thank you.
Yep.
At about 12 minutes and 5 seconds of the video, James indicates that his son was just fine that morning.
Yes.
That he had talked to him.
Yes,
that they had talked about the grades issue,
correct.
that James told his son, we just want you to try.
Correct.
There was no indication that James had any concern about his son's well-being that morning, that he hadn't exhibited any signs that there was anything wrong. In fact, he had spoken with him and reassured him, correct?
That's what he told us, yes. I wasn't
Right.
there, obviously.
And you weren't there for the conversation, but in the moment during this interview, that was your understanding, that there had been this conversation, that there were no concerns based on that conversation.
Correct.
At about 12 minutes and 48 seconds, either you or your partner asked if James's son was active on social media, and he said no.
Correct. Yes, like on Facebook, but she jumped in and said Instagram, I think.
Correct. So James's wife was aware that their son was active on social media or Instagram, but James clearly was not aware of that.
I don't remember.
Okay. At approximately 13 minutes and 45 seconds, there was some over talking, but there was a discussion about empty magazines.
Yes,
And specifically, either yourself or your partner asked how many magazines there were in the house.
yes,
And the magazines were referring to the magazines that go into the firearm,
that's correct.
which is what holds the bullets.
Yes, ma'am.
And James indicated that there were 3 magazines,
Yes,
that they were all empty,
yes,
that they were stored empty,
yes,
that the gun was stored empty,
correct.
that the ammunition was stored separately.
Yes,
And then there was additional conversation between James and his wife about ammunition.
yes,
There was a question about how much ammunition was in the house.
that's correct.
And at about 13 minutes and 54 seconds, James indicates to his wife, you bought the ammunition when you guys went to the shooting range.
Yes,
And you understood that to mean that James's wife and their son bought ammunition when they went to the shooting range at some date prior to November 30th.
Well, hold on a second, Judge. The video and the statements of James Crumbley and Jennifer Crumbley speak for themselves. His impression of what their statements are, that's an improper question. That's why we'll have a transcript of it.
Yeah, that would cause him to speculate his impression of what they said. Is that true?
What they
Well,
meant.
What he understood, that the statement, you bought them when you went to the gun range, what that meant. I mean, I think it's pretty clear, but I can move on.
It's the video. It's a video, Judge.
There was, Jennifer Crumbley also indicated that going to the gun range was a hobby that James and his son did together.
yes,
At about 17 minutes and 32 seconds, James and his wife, yourself and your partner leave that first interview room, and this is, and walk into the second interview room where their son is handcuffed to the wall.
yes,
You advised their son that James and his wife wanted to retain him an attorney. At 19 minutes, it was a fairly short interaction from what we can see on the video, correct?
extremely.
And at 19 minutes and 2 seconds, as James and his wife are leaving, James repeatedly tells his son that he loves him.
Yes, he does.
And he says it over and over. I think I counted 4 or 5 times.
Yes,
At 19 minutes and 18 seconds of the video, we switch back to the first interview room where James and Jennifer, yourself and your partner, are walking into that room. And James enters the room, and you can see on the video, he's obviously crying.
correct.
Very loudly.
Yes,
It could be described as sobbing.
one could characterize it as that. Yes, ma'am.
He's clearly incredibly emotional.
Yes,
Shortly after that, James asks about his son's whereabouts and if he will be made aware of where his son is going to be.
yes,
Again, it appeared that he was concerned about his son and if his son was going to be okay.
Again, that's speculation, Judge.
Well, his statements speak for themselves. I don't think he needs to interpret them. That is speculative.
You've done many police interviews
I have.
in your career. You've been a law enforcement officer for 29 years.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been a detective for much of that 29 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree that James learning that his son was the shooter appeared to be very unexpected to him?
Objection to that question, obviously, Judge. That is blanket speculation.
Yeah, then he's trying to speculate about how your client was feeling, right?
I mean,
That is a clearly improper question.
Yeah, that's existing.
Thank you, Judge.
no further questions, Your Honor.
Real quick, Sergeant, let's talk about what James Crumbley didn't tell you. He never told you that he bought the murder weapon 4 days ago, did he?
He did not.
He never said he bought the murder weapon 4 days ago as a gift for his son.
He did not.
He never told you the gun was ever locked up, did he?
He did not.
He never told you the counselor told James and Jennifer Crumbley to take their son home that day, did he?
No, he did not.
Okay, in fact, he referred to it as doodly on the paper, right?
Correct.
He never actually mentioned that he actually had another son, too.
No.
In that portion of the video where he said, I love you, I love you, I love you, what was his son doing at that time?
Trying to talk to his mom.
Okay, and his son was actually saying, I did it at that point.
He did.
So James was yelling, I love you, I love you, I love you, louder, louder, and louder over his son.
Your Honor, I don't know what the implication is that the prosecution is trying to make, but I don't think that's even a proper question.
Counsel clearly tried to paint a picture that he was saying, I love you to his son, and the video depicts something else, so I would like some context.
Okay,
Your Honor, I think-
whether or not he's trying to talk over his son is up to the jury
That's fine.
to determine. He's able to say, was he saying it at the same contemporaneous with his son saying, I did it, and in his opinion, did it get louder? But why he was saying it is up to the jury.
That's fair, Judge, thank you. Did he say it at the same time his son was confessing to a crime?
He was.
Okay, and did his voice elevate, get louder?
It did.
Okay. Now, they didn't retain him an attorney, though, did they?
Not that I have no knowledge of, no. They did
Okay.
not.
And James Crumbley actually did say to stop questioning, too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Anything?
No, Your Honor.
You can step down in your excuse.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Who's next?
Ms. Gibson Marshall, she's in the hallway.
Good afternoon. Could you raise your hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth so help you God? Yes. Are you may be seated? And then could you tell us your first and last name and spell your first and last name for the record?
Christy Gibson Marshall, KRISTYGIBSON-MARSHALL.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Christy.
Hello.
It's okay if I call you Christy, right?
Of course, yes.
All right. Christy, can you tell the jury what your job is?
I'm an assistant principal at Oxford High School.
Okay. And how long have you been in administration?
Just in administration?
Yes.
20 years?
And did you do something else before that?
I was a teacher prior to that.
And where were you teaching?
Oxford High School and Oxford Elementary, Oxford Intermediate School.
Have you ever taught anywhere except in the Oxford School District?
No.
All right. And so a grand total of how many years so far?
29 years.
All right. Christine, in all of those 29 years, had you ever experienced an active shooter situation?
No.
Until November 30th?
Correct.
You had not?
No, I have not.
Okay. What kind of training had you received in an active shooting situation before November 30th?
We have our ALICE training, which is alert, lockdown, inform, communicate, evacuate.
Okay, and how many years have you received that training?
I started getting it in the elementary.
I'm going to object to the relevance of how long they've been receiving the training.
I'm laying foundations because I'm going to ask her later what she did, and I'm just laying a foundation on her.
Yeah, I'll allow.
Thank you. How many years had you been trained in that?
I started that training in the elementary school, so probably close to 10 years.
Okay, and when you receive that training, does everybody receive it, just administrators? Or does it include students, teachers?
It includes students and teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know the student that was the shooter on November 30th?
I do.
Okay, we refer to him as the shooter. How long had you known, that was the James Crumbley's son?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Before November 30th, had you ever met James Crumbley?
Probably I was Ethan's elementary school teacher or principal.
Okay. Do you have a specific memory of it, or you're not sure?
No, I don't have a specific memory, no.
Okay, let's go back to just James Crumbley's son. How long had you known him?
He transferred to our elementary in 4th grade, so 5 years.
Okay. And you eventually became an administrator in the high school?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So on that day, in November 30th, as part of your assistant principal duties, what are you doing throughout the day? I know you're probably doing a lot, but what are your responsibilities, particularly during passing time?
During passing time, we are just monitoring the hallways and making sure that people are safely getting from one place to the other, just talking to kids, connecting with kids, checking in on students.
And Chrissy, how would you describe how you show up in the building for kids?
My goal is to connect with students. Students make the day. Like they just bring so much fun and life to our building. So connecting with the kids and checking on them and making sure they're doing good, and just connecting them to each other, and that's where our community is built, is within our schools, is
Okay.
at that young age.
And even though you just testified you never had an active shooter situation, you did have a drill? Well, there were drills, I assume. I don't know though.
Yes.
Okay. What are you trained to do when the school goes on lockdown?
I'm trained to lock down.
And can you tell the jury what that means?
That means to take cover, to barricade the classroom door, to ensure the safety of the students and those around me.
Okay. You just testified that you think you probably met James Crumbley. Do you have a specific memory of meeting him?
I don't. I remember getting an email when Ethan was leaving elementary school, asking about a report card. Yeah.
And what did you respond, if you remember?
I responded how to get the report card and to give Ethan a hug for me.
Okay, but he wasn't in your school at that time?
He was leaving, going to middle school.
Okay. And do you know, was he in the district the entire time?
No.
Like, what were the years that James Crumbley's son was in Oxford School District, if you know?
4th grade through high school.
Okay. Directing your attention to November 30th, 2021, approximately 12:50. Can you tell the jury where you were and what you were doing during that time?
I was in the cafeteria supervising lunches. It's a great time to be able to connect with kids. Kids are not in classrooms being super focused. They get to laugh and joke with you. And so it's a really good time to just connect with kids. It's lunchtime.
Okay, and at some point, did you leave the cafeteria?
I did.
And where did you go?
I went to...
Before you look at the map,
Okay,
the jury
sorry.
looks at the map, can you tell me exactly where you went and describe it first?
Okay, so I went...
Whenever you put something up on the screen, as you know, an educator, that means that people are looking at the screen and not.
I went to the senior window. I headed towards the senior window. I didn't quite get all the way there prior to.
And what's the senior window?
Senior window is a little area in our school that our seniors kind of hang out, and it's like their little status symbol.
Okay. And is that where you station yourself during passing time at that time?
A lot of times I do, just to make sure that they're allowing people to get traffic to go through. Somebody is almost always stationed there to make sure that it's
People meaning underclassmen?
underclassmen.
Okay.
Yeah, sweet little freshmen. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Drawing your attention to the map, which was previously previously admitted Exhibit 9, Your Honor. What is that?
That's our school.
Okay. And can you point to the senior, where you were at that time? And Mr. Keister already knows that, so I think he's going to direct your attention with the magnifying.
Yeah, so I started in the commons area that he has highlighted there, and then I came down. I don't even think this hallway has a number, but it's between the choir room and the guitar piano room, and then ended down by the senior courtyard hallway area there.
Which is right there where he...
Yeah, highlighted that little, right in front of the courtyard is where the senior window technically is, but I stopped right here at this.
Right there?
Yeah, this little diamond area.
Okay. And this was during passing time?
Yes.
All right, what's typically going on during passing time? Is it enough time for kids to get from one place to another,
Yeah.
or are people rushing?
Yes, some kids rush. It depends on another lunch is happening. They rush to get into the lunch line, but.
And Molly Donnell previously testified that there's a schedule where kids are actually going to class
Your Honor, I'm
and
going
lunch.
to object to the form of the question.
Your Honor, I'm trying to lay a foundation. I'm not trying to suggest an answer to the witness, which is why we don't allow leading questions. So if I can just get through that, then I will ask for the direct question.
There's 3 different lunch periods, right?
Correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right. So you were did you say you were in the senior hall around this time of 12:50?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any moment where you noticed something unusual?
Yeah, usually I would go all the way to the senior window, but I paused at the diamond there just because there were a lot of kids rushing, laughing and rushing, and it was bizarre to me. I didn't know what was happening at that time.
Okay. You just testified some kids rush, but your answer just now suggests that the rushing seemed something bizarre.
Very different.
Okay, can you describe to the jury what you mean by that?
Okay, so rushing to lunch is like a Olympic power walk situation, and running out of the building is different. So it appeared as though, I don't want to say they're running out of the building because I was not anywhere near a door to know where they were going, but there was more running and laughing going on.
And what did you think at that moment?
That was very odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you do next?
I asked a couple of students what was happening. They didn't know. And then a student came by running and saying, "Get the hell out of here." And then
To you?
To anybody, just announced it in that area.
Did that seem unusual?
Extremely.
Okay. At some point, did you get information that there was an active shooter?
Not at that point, no.
Okay. So the student that you mentioned comes towards you running and yells,
"Get the hell out of here."
and what do you do next?
I asked a couple of kids what was going on. They didn't know again.
So what did you do?
Well, almost immediately after that, I asked the kids, the PA system went off and said to take Alice protocol.
So that was that the first time you were alerted that there was an active shooter?
That was the first time I knew something was happening.
Okay.
Still didn't know it was an active shooter.
Did you know, okay, fair. Did you know if it was a drill or a real Alice?
I didn't know. I just knew that we were going into Alice protocol.
Okay. Before I ask you some more questions, I just want to stop here because I forgot to ask you so we can get a good picture. The school holds about how many students on one day?
About 1,800.
Okay. And this might not be a fair question, and just tell me if it's not. What kind of familiarity do you have with the general student body?
I try to know everybody's name. So I am pretty familiar with the students.
Okay. When you heard the announcement, were you aware of who made the announcement?
It sounded like Steve Wolf.
And who was that?
That was our principal at the time.
Okay. What did you do?
I started to check the hallway to make sure it was getting cleared. the hallways cleared extremely fast. So I walked toward the 400 hallway. I got on the walkie and said there are students running. I'm not sure what's happening. But the hallways cleared, just completely cleared out. So then I turned down the floor.
Did you hear anything else at that point?
No.
Okay. So you're in the 400 hallway, did you say?
Correct.
Okay.
So it started at the top of the 400, yeah.
And the announcement was to implement Alice protocol. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that what you did?
I made sure the kids did.
Okay.
I did not.
What did you do?
I went down the 400 hallway to make sure that the hallway I was closest to, students were taking cover. They did very quickly. One student came up very late to the situation, and I made sure that he got into a classroom. He asked if it was a drill. I said, it doesn't matter if it's a drill. You got to take cover.
At this point in the hall, when you were walking down these halls, were the classroom doors open or closed?
Closed.
Okay. So you got that student in the classroom.
That teacher was locking the door. So that teacher was out locking the door, and I put him in that classroom with that teacher.
Okay. And then did you go into lockdown?
I did not.
Okay. Tell the jury what you did.
After that door was secured, I could smell what I called cap gun at the time, but I now know it was gunpowder. And
Before that, I'll stop you. Before that, did you hear anything?
I don't think I had yet. I can't remember the order, but then shortly after that, I heard gunshots.
Okay. At this point, what kind of familiarity did you have with firearms? And the reason I'm asking is, did you know when you heard that sound what it was?
I knew what it was, but I don't have a lot of experience with firearms.
Okay. So you're hearing the sound, you smell what you think is, and so then you go into lockdown.
I did not.
Tell the jury what you did.
I went towards the gunfire to see what was happening because I wanted to make sure that our kids were safe.
Okay. Can you tell us and relate where you were to the map in terms of which hallway, which classroom, so that we can direct the jury to the right?
So I was down around room 408 and 409, and then moving towards 416.
Okay.
And then when I got to 416, at the end of that hallway, I turned left towards where the gunfire had happened.
So you ran towards the sound?
I did.
Okay. What did you see, Christy?
I saw a student on the ground. So I approached that direction. I was concerned about the student on the ground. I couldn't tell who the student was, but I saw a student laying on the ground.
Did you see anything else in the hallways at this point?
At that moment, I don't believe I did quite yet. Shortly after I did, like very quickly.
Any other people?
Shortly after recognizing that there was a student on the ground, there was a student coming my direction.
Okay, but any other staff, administration, teachers, students?
No, me.
Okay. Now, the judges made very specific rulings that you cannot talk about any sort of highly suffering. So I want to make sure that we describe what happened, but in a way that comports with her order. Did you approach that student?
The student on the ground?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And describe how the student was lying down, face down, face up.
He was face down and looking away down, well, face down. His head was more turned towards that opposite of where I was. So
away from you.
Away from
Okay.
me. And there was a garbage can in the way, so I moved the garbage can out of the way so I could get to him better.
And Chrissy, when you approached the student, did you have could you see any signs of injury? Did you know what happened to the student?
I didn't know anything at that point, no.
Okay, what did you do next?
I looked up the hallway and I could see another student look like he was bringing his arm down. My assumption was that that was probably the shooter.
And so what did you do?
I let the office know on Milwaukee that I had eyes on the shooter.
Okay. And were you instructed to do anything at that point?
I don't remember.
Would it have mattered?
Probably not.
Okay.
I had a student at my feet.
Okay. Tell the jury what you did.
The shooter was coming closer to me. As he got very close, I realized it was Ethan, and it didn't seem right to me because Ethan always seemed like a sweet kid. I just couldn't picture that being him, so I talked to him. As he walked by, I asked him if he was okay, what was going on. I took a few steps down the hallway with him.
Did you see that he was holding anything?
Yeah, he had a gun in his hand.
Okay.
And
what did the shooter do? Did he look at you? Did he turn away? Did he speak to you?
he looked away from me, which that made me, I knew for sure that at that point he was the shooter because he would have talked to me. If he were in typically he would have said something to me. He would have talked to me.
Okay. And I do have to ask, why didn't you take cover?
There was a student that needed my help.
Okay. So at some point, were you alone in that space? Did the shooter pass you by? Did he stop?
He kept walking. I walked with him for just a couple of steps and a few, I don't know, probably, I can't even measure, probably 10 feet. And then I turned my back on him. I know this is ridiculous that I did, but I turned my back on him because I had a student that I needed to check on.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I have to ask you to keep your voice up.
Sorry. So I turned my back on him. I wasn't sure where he went. He was past me. And then I went back to the student that was on the ground.
Okay. At that point, could you identify who the student was?
At that point, I rolled him over and I realized that it was Tate near.
Did you notice if he was injured?
At that point, I knew that he had a bullet wound.
Did he have what? I'm sorry.
He had a bullet wound entering in the back of his head and exiting in the front.
Was he still alive?
I hoped he was. He was very gray, but I started to resuscitate immediately.
Okay.
He had a pulse.
What's that?
He had a pulse.
Okay. You knew him?
Yeah, I had all of his brothers, and his mom was my PTO president. I've known the family really well.
Okay. What happened next?
I just began to give him rescue breaths.
How long did that go on?
Your Honor, may we approach?
Next question, please. Next question.
How long was it? I asked what happened next, Your Honor. I'm doing my best.
Okay, what happened?
Without saying what that experience was like for you, was there a moment when you stopped, and what happened to make you stop?
I continued until they took him from me.
Okay. And what happened next?
Kurt News came up. He had called on the walkie to see where I was.
Is that the principal?
That's one of the assistant
No, if I can
principals.
just get some permission to lead just a little bit so we can move past this and comply with the course order, but I'm concerned about an objection so that I can get to I don't want to violate the course order. So I'm just gonna ask a few leading questions so that we can move past that. What happened? Did somebody approach you at some point and ask you about the shooter's whereabouts?
Kim Potts came up and told me it was a drill, and pardon me, you guys, I'm so sorry. My students are gonna hear this, it's horrible. But I told her it was not a fucking drill, that, that someone had been shot. And she kind of grabbed her gun and went.
And I'm sorry, Chrissy, tell the jury who Kim Potts is because they don't know who Kim Potts is.
She was a retired police officer who was worked in our lunchroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she wasn't technically a security person?
No.
But she did carry a weapon?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I just said he went that way, and I just kept waving my arm that way.
Okay. If we go back to the map, you were, at this point, when you were with Tate, what classroom were you around, if you know?
So I would have been by room 223. Oh, actually, in that, see, there's this little space between 223 and 225. There's two doors. One goes into the courtyard and one goes out of the building. That's where Tate and I were.
Okay. And when you say you pointed that way, which direction?
Towards 225. I didn't know where he went. I just knew he went that direction.
Okay. And so if Mr. Keese can at least, so that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. And
I told Kurt News that same thing when he came up.
okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
At what point did who's Kurt News?
Kurt News is one of the other assistant principals. He was responding to me on the walkie to find out where I was.
Okay, and at what point did he appear, if you know?
Just before Kim did, because he went into the courtyard to go see if he could get one of our medical staff to help. And then he came back out and realized that everyone's in lockdown, he can't go that way. So then he went out the other doors to get EMS. So between when he went into the courtyard and when he went to EMS, Kim had come down the hallway.
Okay.
And then Steve Wolf arrived shortly after that. I feel terrible because they came to help me. They should have been in lockdown.
Like you should have been in lockdown.
I didn't need to spare others either.
Okay. All right. What happened after that? You said eventually somebody took Tate away.
The police arrived and Deputy Freiberg came up, and Deputy Freiberg was one of my parents at Lakeville. And when he came up to me, he recognized me right away and came up and asked me what I needed. He was surveying the scene.
Okay, what's Lakeville?
It's the elementary school I was the principal of.
Okay.
And I told Detective Freiberg, that it was Tate, because he knows the family really well too. And appeared as though it took his breath away, and he said, "I'll be right back." And so then they went and secured the scene, and that's when Ethan came out of the bathroom and was arrested.
Did you see that?
I did. They couldn't remember, they didn't know his name. They kept asking his name, so I went down and told them his name, and then I came back to Tate because I didn't want to leave Tate.
Okay. Were you aware that that was the bathroom where Justin Schilling was killed? Did you see any other victims that day? Oh, straight ahead. At that point?
At that point.
Okay. Have you seen the video?
Yes.
Of you that day?
Yes.
Okay. That's been marked as Exhibit 13, I believe. It's been admitted. And I do want to alert, we have alerted our victims in the courtroom, Your Honor, but the media.
We're not going to show this on TV, okay?
Your Honor, just for the record, I did have an objection to this. I'm just renewing that objection for the reasons previously described.
We discussed that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Exhibit 13 is not going to be shown on television. And I think that the victims who are present know what video you're talking about.
Our victim advocates are there, Your Honor. We prepared them. They know that they can leave the courtroom. If that's what they wish to do.
Is there any audio on this? No.
And Christy, can you tell us when you come into image? The image?
So I'm in the image there in the yellow sweater.
Okay. Do you have the ability to point that? Right there?
Yes.
Okay. And then can you let us know when you see the student you described that came up to you?
Right there. That was him running right there. And then the other students running behind him.
Now this video is, there's no sound, but this is in real time in terms of, you can
Yes.
see that, well, can you describe what you see in terms of the students' movements?
They are running.
Okay.
So that's when I said on the walkie that students are running. And I didn't know what was happening. And then you'll notice that the hallway's clear almost immediately.
Okay.
This is when I go down the 400 hallway.
Can you stop it? Who is that, Christine?
That's Ethan.
Okay.
This is me telling the teacher.
Where?
There's a
Top of the
teacher
screen?
here. I'm checking doors up at the top of the screen, and then a teacher came out and then a student joined them. And then this is me coming, bless you, started smelling this is me telling when I smell cap gun and walking towards where I heard the shots.
Okay.
So right there is where I noticed Ethan, because I stepped aside and said I have eyes on the shooter.
And at that point, had you observed Tate?
I could see Tate on the ground. Yes.
Okay, you can't see him in this picture though, okay.
No. See me move the garbage can?
Is that Tate lying on the ground, Christy?
That's Tate on the ground, yes.
And who are you looking at right then, down that
Ethan.
hallway?
I'm looking at Ethan. And I'm talking to Tate at that point.
And who do we see?
Ethan's walking up to us.
Now, from the time that you observed him, was he always walking at that pace or was he ever running?
He was always walking.
Okay.
And that's when I walked with him to talk to him. He wouldn't respond. And this is when I discovered it was Tate.
If you could stop that for a second, who are those people?
Those are the officers that, I don't know which ones, but, and then looks like Ken Weaver. I think it's Ken Weaver there.
And is this after Tate was already taken away? This video, or is this?
No, Tate was still there. I got up from Tate because they couldn't figure out who the student was, and I needed to tell them what his name was. So then
Okay,
I ran down to tell him his name.
So,
and then I ran
hold
back.
on one sec. Is it at the top of the screen right there?
Yes.
What is that?
That's,
Right up there.
that is Ethan being arrested.
Okay.
So I went down to give them his name, and then I went right back to Tate. I think he was asking me more questions and I said, I've got to get back.
Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross?
No cross, Your Honor.
And she be excused, Your Honor?
Yeah, you can step down.
A brief question.
Sure. Could you turn on the audio, please? That's okay.
Sidebar. I don't know. He's actually showing emotion. His wife, Jennifer, did not do that so much. He seemed to look up when they were talking about Ethan. Hey, Juju Bones. Good to see you, friend. I'm glad you stopped in. How you doing, Pam?
Actually, I consider both things good news. We are making incredible strides. We're going quickly, we're being efficient, but we're sort of out of the witnesses for today. We're in good shape. We will definitely be finished by next week. You will definitely be finished by next week. That's the good part. Someone here has a vacation, I don't recall who. But we're making good progress. In fact, some of the witnesses have been deleted from witness lists. But we're sort of out of witnesses for today. So I'm going to have you come back on Monday morning, and we're going to start at 9 o'clock. All right, I hope you think this is good news, because, you know, it's Friday and stuff like that. But I need to tell you that during the trial, you should not read, listen to, or watch any news reports about the case. Under the law, the evidence you consider to decide the case must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the lawyers must be able to cross-examine them. Because news reports do not have to meet these standards, they could give you incorrect or misleading information that might unfairly favor one side. So to be fair to both sides, you must follow this instruction. Please do not go on social media. Please do not post. Do not do research. Don't discuss the case with anyone, even each other. All right? So I know it's going to be tempting this weekend, but it's supposed to be decent weather. So let's keep the TV off and news. If you're not reading the news, it maintains your blood pressure too, I've noticed. So that's a good sign. I'm going to order all of you to remain healthy this weekend. All right. Any questions about the schedule? So we'll go all day Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You could have the case by then. All right. We're making good progress. So be ready for some heavy lifting on Monday. Anybody, any questions? Please, we've come this far. We need your help. Don't talk about the case. Enjoy your weekend. Well, the bad news, to me, the bad news is that we can't go any further today, but it's also the good news because we made such good progress that, you know, we sort of ran out of witnesses. So people have to be scheduled to come here. So it's a, you know, it's a big, we're moving a lot of people around, right? So. Good? Oh, and place your lunch order before you leave, all right? All right, thank you very much.
All rest of the jury?
Okay. Anybody, anything? 9 o'clock on Monday. It's apparent to me that there's at least one person in the courtroom who is ill. And it's disturbing to me that that person would risk the health of everybody else here. I know everybody here needs to remain healthy. I know that I'm taking my vitamins and getting my sleep because I'm expected to be here every day and so are the lawyers. So I think the person who's sick should think twice, all right? Because we have air filters, we have hand sanitizer, but it's kind of unfair to everybody else, right? All right. Anything else?
No, Judge, thank you.
Okay, so you can take him down. Thanks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Alrighty then. Well, looks like we're back Monday, guys. Long weekend for the jurors. So I don't know. Yeah, he was crying, blowing his nose, all sorts of stuff. One thing I'll say is he's more emotional than his wife Jennifer ever was. There is that. But, you know, I hope these tears are also for those children that passed away, not just his story, but. So, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I appreciate every single one of you. And make sure you subscribe, like I said. Smash that thumb. I want to do possibly another live later today, and I'll be doing them through the weekend as well. So with that said, I will talk to you very soon in the next one. Bye.